Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining the NJHMFA's Road Home NJ Home Buying webinar. I am Jordan Campbell, Communications Assistant at NJHMFA. First, I would like to notify you that we are recording this webinar and it will be visible to the public. So if you have your video on and do not wish to be shown, please shut it off now. We'll be sharing a lot of information in today's webinar. With that said, please notice on your Zoom toolbar, there is a chat box. This is where I will be uploading helpful links throughout the presentation if you want to copy them if you're on a computer. If you are on a phone or unable to copy, that's fine. We will also be sending all of these links and materials to you via email tomorrow morning, so make sure you look out for that. If you're registered for this event, we have your email address. If someone shared this Zoom link with you and you did not register, then please feel free to chat me your email address and name so I can add you to the email going out tomorrow along with future emails on home buying. Lastly, please keep yourselves muted during the presentation and feel free to use the chat box to ask any questions throughout the webinar. We will address the questions during the Q&A. If you are calling in, then we will ask you to unmute at the time of the Q&A if you would like to ask a question. Now I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who we call the face of our agency here at NJHMFA. He is also the real MVP, Jesse Crawford, who is our lender outreach and marketing coordinator.
Thank you, Jordan, for that introduction, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford, and I'm the Outreach Marketing Coordinator for the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And my job is to travel all around the state and to share the information available to first-time home buyers by way of lower interest rate mortgages and down payment assistance programs. So, without further ado, I'm going to get started with the presentation, and I want to share my screen. And let me do this full screen mode. And Jordan, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Great, great, great. So again, we are the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And what I want to talk about today for about the next 15 to 20 minutes is maximizing first-time homebuyer opportunities with our down payment assistance programs. A little bit about us. New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency provides funding for affordable home ownership and housing opportunities for New Jersey residents. We are a state housing finance agency, and we respond to the needs of residents by implementing creative programs for affordable mortgages and down payment assistance programs for first-time home buyers. And we offer those programs through a network of approved lenders. First-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers. And the largest share of home buyers are between the age of 25 and 34 age group. That's about 54% of all home buyers. It's vital that we start out giving you some context to some of the leading issues and barriers and stumbling blocks for first-time home buyers. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, 71% of first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. First-time home buyers, 71%. Now, the roadblocks that typically hinder first-time home buyers are things such as not having enough capital for down payment and closing costs, or just qualifying for a mortgage might be a major obstacle. The amount of student loan debt might be an issue, or just debt in general. Your job security, whether or not you've been on the job long enough to qualify for a mortgage, or maybe your job have you moving around and you're not in a position to settle down just yet. And the other thing is that not enough homes for sale in a particular area. As you can see in this particular chart, one of the leading barriers is affording the down payment. 68% Qualifying for a mortgage here shows 53%. The amount of debt, 50%, and job security rounding out at roughly almost 40%. Down payment and closing costs, specifically, 9 in 10 low-income renters, 88%, said that having money for down payment and closing costs was a major obstacle to home ownership for them. Middle income renters also indicated the same challenge, and low income renters, roughly 39%, 62% of them said that it was the same challenge for them, and 39% of middle income renters considered having funds for down payment and closing costs as a major obstacle to them owning a home. 53% of all renters cited their inability to afford a down payment as the reason why they rent. By far, this is the most frequently cited explanation. And what we want to talk about tonight and encompass in this entire presentation is how you can get over those barriers and achieve your goal of home ownership. Here's a snapshot of expenses that prevent buyers from being able to buy a home. Student loan debt for first-time home buyers at 56%. Credit card debt at 34%. Car loans at 36%. And as you can see down the line, childcare expenses, healthcare costs, and others. All things that hinder folks from being able to save money to buy a home. Now, we have two basic mortgage programs. There are foundational mortgage programs, and the first one is the first-time home buyer mortgage, and the second one is our homeward bound mortgage, both which can be combined with our down payment assistance program. And I'll get into the down payment assistance program later, but what I want to talk about briefly is these two different mortgage programs and their similarities and their differences. Now, the first-time homebuyer mortgage provides a competitive loan for eligible borrowers purchasing their first home in the state of New Jersey. It offers a 30-year fixed rate, government-insured mortgage, and the interest rates are determined by our agency and are sent out to the lenders each and every business day by 10 a.m. We decide what the interest rates are and not the lenders. So we dictate the interest rates and we send them out to the lenders by 10 a.m. each and every business day. The first-time home buyer program. The requirements are the borrower must purchase and occupy a residential home in New Jersey. The borrower must qualify and meet all requirements for our agency's mortgage, which is originated through our participating lender list. Also, the borrower must be a first-time home buyer, defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. And I want to stop there and clarify this. A borrower must be a first-time home buyer, defined as someone who has not owned a home as their primary residence for the previous 3 years. Now, you could be a homeowner that has an investment property, but you're not living in it. You're renting it out and you're renting someplace else for the last 3 years. If you can prove that on your taxes and other documents, then you're considered a first-time home buyer, okay? And lastly, on this particular slide, qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but they cannot own a primary residence prior to closing on their new loan with us. So if they have a home, they would need to sell that home prior to closing on the new home with us. Additional requirements: FICO score must be 620 or greater. And for those who know what the debt to income ratio term is, the maximum is 40 on the front and 47 on the back. The ratios just changed this week from 40 to 40 and 45 to 40 and 47, meaning 40% of your monthly income, no more than that, can be applied to your mortgage. And 47% of your monthly income with your mortgage and all this that encompasses that, which are principal, taxes, interest, and other items, and your monthly expenses cannot exceed 47%. Borrowers are required to have 2 months reserves of monthly mortgage payment. And I'll get into that a little bit further later on down the line and explain what is doable and what is not. Borrowers' household income must meet our first-time homebuyer statewide income limits. And I'm going to click on this to show you what they look like. And let me stop sharing, do a new share. And as you can see here, for Atlantic, Burlington, Cape May, Cumberland, Gloucester County, Hudson, Salem, and Warren, 1 to 2 family household, all adults, working adults in the household, the maximum income is $103,300. If there are 3 or more in the family household, the maximum income for these particular counties, Atlantic all the way through Warren County, is $118,795. Okay? And let me go back here. And lastly, on this particular slide, borrowers cannot or may not possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less. Now, each and every one of these links that are in the slide that I'm showing you are going to be copied in the chat box. And we're also going to email these out for everyone on this particular webinar. So you'll have those resources that you can download to your computer or to your phone. Now, the Homeward Bound program or Homeward Bound mortgage, a lot of the similarities to the first-time homebuyer mortgage with a few changes, okay? So just like the first-time homebuyer mortgage, must purchase and occupy a residential home in New Jersey, must qualify and meet all requirements by our agency, First Mortgage Loan, originated through our participating lender, must be a first-time home buyer as defined as someone who has not had ownership in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Again, qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own a home or another primary residence at closing. And the difference with the Homeward Bound mortgage program and the first-time home buyer is that there are higher debt-to-income ratios to help you qualify. And just like the first-time home buyer mortgage, it's a 30-year fixed government loan. The bar requirements are 620. And as you can see at the top of this particular slide, again, the borrower's FICO score must be 620 or greater, and you must meet the debt-to-income requirements. The debt-to-income requirements for the first-time home buyer was 40 and 47. As you can see here, it's 40 and 50. So if you have a little more debt that you're required to pay each month in addition to your mortgage, you can qualify, hopefully qualify for the Homeward Bound mortgage, opposed to the first-time home buyer, which has a lower debt-to-income ratio. So if you don't qualify for one, hopefully you will qualify for the other. And again, as with the first-time home buyer mortgage, borrowers are required to have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. Borrower's household income must meet the Homeward Bound housing income limits. It includes all adult household members who are 18 and older that are not full-time students. So if you're a full-time student, your income does not have to be counted. But if you're 18 or older, living in the house and working in that household, your income or that income needs to be counted for all adults in the household. Now let me click on the Homeward Bound income limits, and I want to show you something. Now, as you can see on this particular slide, Atlantic County, all the way through to Warren County, the income limit is much higher. It's $144,620. Whereas on the first-time home buyer, the income limits, I think, if I remember correctly, was $118,000. So if you don't qualify for the first-time home buyer because you're over the income limits, or you have too much debt to qualify for that particular program, then you can utilize this particular program here, which the 140% of the area median income, $144,000, roughly $145,000 almost. And as with the first-time home buyer, you can't have enough liquid assets, or you may not possess enough liquid assets to close a loan at 80% LTV or less. And what we mean is that if you have more than 20% in liquid assets sitting in a checking account or savings account, and you can purchase this home with those funds, then you're not going to qualify for this, our programs, our down payment programs, because in essence, you really don't need the capital to help you with your down payment and closing cost assistance. These programs are for folks who actually need it. But if you have money sitting in your 401k or other retirement accounts, that's not what we're referring to. But if you got money sitting in checking or savings or any other liquid assets, and you can close a loan at 80% loan to value or less, then you won't qualify for this particular program or these programs. Now, really quick, I want to get into what we call urban targeted areas, or we refer to them as UTAs. And urban targeted areas are designated by HUD, Department of Housing and Urban Development, and each county has designated urban targeted areas. Okay, buyers of homes located within urban targeted areas or qualified veterans, and this is key, do not need to be first-time home buyers. Okay, but must not own another primary residence at closing. So for those folks who currently own a home that are on the webinar today and looking to buy a new home, and they want to take advantage of our down payment assistance, and I'm purposely holding off telling you about the down payment assistance, because that's the meat and potatoes of this entire presentation. You do not need to be a first-time home buyer, but you must purchase in an urban targeted area. Now, the benefits of buying a home in an urban target area are as follows. There are higher income limits permitting and qualifying for the loan. And just like the homeward bound mortgage, they also have higher housing purchase prices that are permitted. Now I'm going to click on this site evaluator to give you a quick snapshot of what it looks like. And when you click on the link for the site evaluator, you basically put in the address at the top here of the home that you're looking to purchase to see if it's in an urban targeted area. And over to the right, if you come down 1, 2, 3, 4, three checks, you'll see urban targeted area tracks, and it'll say yes or no if it's in an urban targeted area. So simply put in the address of the place you're looking to purchase, and it'll let you know whether or not it's in an urban targeted area and whether or not you can take advantage of the down payment assistance in our low interest rate mortgage as someone who currently owns a home or a qualified veteran, and you do not need to be a first-time home buyer. Great resource to figure out where you are in the census tract and other things, okay? Let me go back, new share. Now, just for folks on the webinar, just to give you, for your edification, urban targeted areas are an untapped market because buyers can purchase in urban targeted areas and do not need to be first-time home buyers to use the down payment assistance program. Now, the pivotal turning point for urban targeted areas is increasing opportunities for home ownership, okay? Purchasing in urban targeted areas also have the possibility, you have the possibility of combining other down payment assistance programs. So you can receive our down payment assistance and other down payment assistance programs from the county or from the American Dream down payment, or your local municipality or township that offers some type of down payment assistance program. If allowed by that entity or by the town, you can couple our monies with theirs and have even more buying power for your down payment assistance and closing costs. Now, the important thing on this particular slide is the down payment resources, additional down payment resources that you can find by utilizing this downpaymentresource.com link. It's not a link that we manage, it's not our page, but it's a great resource if you're looking for additional capital to help you purchase your home in addition to what we have to offer. And lastly, on this particular slide, there is a link. If you do not have a copy of your credit report, I advise you to download a free copy from each of the 3 credit bureaus to know what's on your credit report, if there's information that needs to be corrected, if there's erroneous information that needs to be deleted. You can find out these things prior to applying for the mortgage and the down payment assistance. So it's a great resource and it's free. You're entitled to 1 free credit report every year through this only authorized site by the U.S. government, annualcreditreport.com. Now, this screen here gives you a quick snapshot of the difference between first-time home buyer and the Homeward Bound programs, okay? Both minimum credit score is 620 or higher. The first-time home buyer has a lower income limit. The Homeward Bound mortgage has a higher income limit, okay? First-time home buyer, lower debt-to-income ratios. Homeward Bound, higher debt-to-income ratios, which allow you to qualify if your debt is a lot higher. They're both 30-year fixed rate mortgages. There's a lower interest rate for the first-time home buyer and a higher one, not much, but higher interest rate for a Homeward Bound. And for both of these programs, you are required to complete a HUD-approved credit counseling course. I'm going to give you the information on that particular requirement later on in the presentation. And what's really, really great about both programs is that you can purchase up to a 1 to 4 family property and qualify for our mortgage and down payment assistance program. The major requirement is that you must live in one of the units as your primary residence for the amount of 5 years, and you can rent the other units out. If you buy a duplex, you can live in one and rent the other out, or you can buy up to a 4-family unit, live in one and rent the other 3 out. That's a great opportunity for someone who's looking for cash flow, to get into the business of being a landlord and having some type of investment property. Again, you must live in one of the units and for the mandatory amount of 5 years as your primary residence. The requirements for our mortgage program are as follows: 3 years federal tax returns or transcripts, 30-day pay stubs, and 2 years worth of W-2s are required for all adult household members when your file is submitted, okay? 2 months bank statements are required for all borrowers. Borrowers must have 2 months reserves, as I said before, 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage, anticipated monthly mortgage payment. And reserves can be in personal accounts. It can be a gift from a family member to qualify, or you can provide statements from your 401k or pension or some other type of retirement fund. But the borrower does not need to withdraw those funds. You just need to prove that you have those funds available in case something happens. Agency loan proceeds shall not in any circumstances be used to pay down your debt to qualify for the mortgage. And borrowers can get cash back at closing if there is an excess of funds. But the max cash that you can get back is about $3,000 for funds paid out of pockets, which include your earnest money deposit, the appraisal fee, home inspection, pest inspection, and your home buyer's cost if you have one. These are some other required certifications. If there's a well or septic, there need to be certifications for that. Obviously, you need wood destroying pest inspection. As I said earlier, a HUD approved counseling certification must be submitted with your file. If it's the seller of the home is a business formation docs are required to be submitted with the file. If the seller is part of an estate, the short certificate and death certificate are required, and power of attorney approval is required for the buyer or seller before the loan can go to closing. Now, final approval for your loan, what typically happens is the lender will submit the file to our agency. Now, understand, your lender that you choose to underwrite your loan, qualify, I should say, and then underwrite your loan and get you to the closing table, they do all the work. We just provide the funding. And what we review your file for is compliance. We don't re-underwrite the file. We make sure everything is in order and in compliance and everything's in the file. Lenders will submit the file to our agency for review once it's cleared to close by the lender. The initial review of the file could take 5 business days. It doesn't typically take that long. If there's a full file, we can typically return it or have it returned in 48 hours, okay? We do not use the full 5 days. We're relying on the lenders to give us a complete file. If we don't receive a complete file, then obviously we have to go back and ask for additional items, okay? And then typically initial decision within 1 to 2 business days, okay? Lenders are encouraged to submit their file to the agency for review at least 10 days before the closing to allow time for resubmission for loan conditions. And then once we clear the file, you're good to go, set up your closing, and then get your keys and move in your home. Now, this is the exciting part for me, and I'm gonna try to stay calm. This is what I call the free money section of my presentation, down payment assistance. Our down payment assistance program provides $10,000 towards down payment and closing costs for qualified home borrowers. Okay, we've already went over the qualifications for our mortgage program, okay? Our down payment assistance is what we call a forgivable loan with no payments and no interest rate. It's not a grant, it's a forgivable loan with no payments and no interest rate over a 5-year period. Our down payment assistance is a sub-program that can be coupled with our mortgage program. I talked about the first-time home buyer mortgage and the homeward bound mortgage. So in addition to the mortgage, you'll get a down payment assistance, a forgivable loan of $10,000, okay? And our loans are actually, again, government-insured loans such as FHA, VA, or USDA. Now, I'm excited to let you all know that we will be doing conventional lending in the very near future. And when we do, that's going to open up some other programs that are available in addition to providing the $10,000 for the forgivable loan for down payment assistance. The major requirement of our down payment assistance program is that the home buyer resides in the property as their primary residence for 5 years after purchase, without selling it, without refinancing, and obviously without defaulting on the mortgage. If you adhere to those guidelines, the $10,000 is completely forgiven. I'm going to say that again. The $10,000 is completely forgiven. And during the 5-year period, there are no payments on the down payment assistance of $10,000, and there is no interest rate. So in the grand scheme of things, this is free money. This is free $10,000 for you to buy a home, to utilize to pay your down payment and closing costs. And as long as you pay your mortgage, reside in the home over the 5-year period, it's completely forgiven after 5 years. If you decide within that 5-year period after closing on the loan that you decide you want to move, you want to refinance, or you vacate the property, or you default on your mortgage, then you are going to be required to pay the entire $10,000 back. But as long as you do what you're supposed to do, pay your mortgage, enjoy living in your home, affordable monthly mortgage payment, the $10,000 is totally forgiven. Okay? The other thing that's really great that we just changed recently is now you can utilize our mortgage program and down payment assistance for new construction. So you find a new development that's going up in an area that you like and you want to purchase, you can utilize our mortgage program and down payment assistance to purchase new construction throughout the state of New Jersey. Our mortgage program can be used throughout anywhere, I believe in all 20, I believe you have 22 counties, anywhere throughout the state of New Jersey, okay? So it's not just Cumberland or Gloucester or anywhere throughout the state of New Jersey that you want to purchase and reside for the next 5 years, okay? The other great thing is that you can utilize seller concessions, and we have a realtor on the webinar here today, Jenny, who will talk about that and how you can utilize additional funding in addition to our down payment assistance to have more buying power, okay? And the DPA, some borrowers will not need any additional funds for their closing. So you could conceivably purchase a home with little or no money out of your own pocket at all. Really quick, eligible properties. As I stated earlier, the property must be located in the state of New Jersey. You can be moving from another state to New Jersey, but you're gonna have to reside here in New Jersey 5 years as your primary residence. Excuse me. Must be a single family home. It could be a condo, it could be a townhome, a manufactured home, or a mobile home that's on a fixed foundation. Can't be a mobile home that you can just wheel from one town to the other. Got to be on a fixed foundation. And as I said before, you can purchase up to a 4-family dwelling. You can purchase a 2-family, live in one, rent the other out, or 4-family, live in one, and rent the other 3 units out. And as long as you occupy it as your primary residence for 5 years, you're good to go. Major requirement for the program, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that you must have credit counseling from a HUD certified or HUD approved counseling agency. This link here, I'm going to click on it really quick. And where are we here? This takes you to HUD.gov. You actually can put in your search. I currently have it for New Jersey. It'll give you all the HUD certified counseling agencies, and you can select one to take your credit counseling, select one in your current location, or you can go to our website, and there are a list of housing counseling agencies by county on our agency website. And I believe you'll have that information in your links in the chat. But understand, once you complete the credit counseling, you will receive a certificate. That certificate states that you completed the credit counseling course. Now, some credit counseling agencies, it's free. There's no cost at all. Others charge a small fee to take the course. You obviously, for COVID reasons, you take the course online at your leisure, and that certificate that you receive is good for 1 full year. That certificate has to be submitted with your closing package, and your lender or loan officer will require that from you prior to closing on your loan. Just going to wrap this up. Our agency's down payment assistance and mortgage programs are one of the leading solutions or strategies to help renters and buyers who are facing the roadblock or the lack of resources for down payment assistance and closing costs. Our programs can be used with seller concessions and It can provide sellers with a greater potential pool of potential home buyers. And when buyers utilize our programs, it does not delay the purchase time. Again, we don't underwrite the loan. We just provide the funding. We review the loan for compliance prior to closing. We clear the file for closing, and 48 hours later, you can set your between all parties, your attorney, your realtor, and your lender, title agency, whatever it may be, can set the closing date for your particular file. Now, the last link on this particular page is a great resource for realtors and potential first-time home buyers, and just for folks who are maybe buying a new home and need to touch up on their education for buying a home. It's our resource guide that goes through the steps of purchasing a home. And it talks about credit, there's mortgage calculators, it tells you how to find a realtor, it tells you how to seek an attorney, and it has a glossary of terms in the back. So if you're going through this process and you hear a term that you don't recognize, you can flip through this PDF file and pull up that term, and it'll give you an explanation of what it actually means in the home buying process. We have a list of lenders that utilize our program. They're versed in our programs, and you would reach out to one of the lenders if you're ready to start the process today. We have what we call a lender request form. I'm going to click on that really quick. If you're ready to purchase today, or whenever you are ready, you would click on the link or a lender request form. And also, you can get to this site directly from our agency website under the Lenders tab. Lender request form, you would put in your email address, your name, obviously, phone number, the county you're looking to purchase in, what kind of program you're looking for, or $10,000 down payment assistance and closing costs, what type of preferred meet you would have with the lender, and some additional information. And what's going to happen is we are going to return to you 3 lenders that you can choose from, and those lenders will reach out to you. They're going to get your information and reach out to you, and you decide who you want to select and start the process. It'll be 3 of our top lenders. Great resource if you're ready to get started right away. If you have currently a pre-qualification and your lender is not one of our current lenders on our participating list, and you want to take advantage of our down payment assistance program, you can simply have them contact single family lenders at the web link at the bottom of this particular page, and we will let them know how they can get on our participating lender list. That wraps up my portion of this particular webinar. My information is on the screen. Email me if you have any questions at all. You can also call me. If I don't pick up, just leave me a voicemail and I will get back to you. But if you want an immediate response, the quickest way is to email me at the address on the screen. And let me stop sharing here. And are there any questions at all? You can just unmute yourself. Or Jordan, you want to navigate this?
Hi, good night. I have a question. You need to have Social Security, or with the IT number, we can get the loan or not?
You need to have some type of tax identification number. You don't necessarily need to have a Social Security number, but you do have to have some type of tax identification number.
All right, thank you.
All right. Was that Marilena?
Yes, hi.
Okay, did I say your name right?
Yes.
I'm good, right?
Yes, you did it. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I have one. For the down payment assistance program, are there any deed restrictions that are involved with that process?
That's a great question, and I'm trying to figure out who just asked that question.
I did.
What's your name?
My name is Heather. I'm sorry. I've typed it in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay, Heather, that's a great question. And for this particular down payment program, you cannot purchase a deed restricted property.
Not purchase of deed restriction. You know how when you
No.
get the ADDI money and then they apply, you know how you get the, it used to be ADDI money for the down payment assistance program. You could get the money and purchase a property that was not deed restricted, but after you applied the funds, it became deed restricted.
No, these are straight, funds for straight market value properties. There are other programs that are administered through the Department of Community Affairs to purchase deed restricted properties. But, you know, it comes with its own challenges because just a quick history, when you purchase a deed restricted property, you're limited by how much profit you can make when you actually go to sell the property in the future. So with our program, market rate properties.
Right, I know you can purchase them, but after the purchase, there's no soft liens or anything that deems your house affordable housing?
No.
Where you can't get, you know, sell it for market value on the resale after the 5 years?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. The only issue, Heather, is that $10,000 that you utilize is what we call a soft. It's called a soft second on the mortgage. But again, it's zero interest and there's no payment. So as long as you live in the home for 5 years, after 5 years, that $10,000 is completely yours. You don't have to pay it back. That becomes equity in your property.
Is there any restriction on the transfer of the deed because of how you acquired it? Okay.
Nope, you do whatever you want after 5 years. That's my definition of free money.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Great question.
I have another question. I'm sorry. You say if you want to buy a house with this money, I'm sorry, let me try my best English, right? You can use it to buy a property for make money, like a renter, or how that work?
If you want to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, I want to be a renter, a lender that you said. So we can use that money for that, or is different program?
Well, I'm going to answer your question, but I want to let you know also we have a wonderful realtor on the line who's bilingual. So if you want to ask your question to her in Spanish and she can translate, but I think I got the gist of what you're asking. Can you buy a property, a multiple unit property, live in one of them and rent the other out? Is that the question?
Or buy one and use for rent. It's not?
You can buy, understand, you can buy a multi-family home, but one of the units in that property you have to occupy as your home or primary residence for 5 years.
Okay.
Jenny, you want to take this one for me?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Jenny.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, gracias. Ok, la pregunta es porque yo tengo mi casa.
Se lo voy a explicar en español.
Ok.
Si usted quiere ser un landlord y quiere rentar la propiedad, tiene que ser un edificio que sea de apartamentos, suponer, o condominio, lo que queramos llamarlos. Puede ser 1, 2, tiene que ser 2, 3 o 4 habitaciones. Una de las habitaciones tiene que usted vivir ahí por 5 años. Quiere decir que si usted quiere comprar una casa propiamente y usar los $10,000 para la asistencia, no puede rentarla. Pero si usted vive en una casa que tenga bueno, como tiene que vivir en una, tiene que tener 2, 3 o 4 habitaciones. Puede ser una casa arriba, ¿no? Abajo. ¿Cómo?
Okay. Sí, apartamento.
Sí, pero tiene que vivir en
como, yo entiendo habitaciones como cuarto, pero son como casitas.
No, tiene que ser una casa con baño, cocina, habitaciones para dormitorios y una sala. Quiere decir que es un apartamento. Y en ese edificio, vamos a decir un edificio, puede haber 2 habitaciones, puede haber 3 o 4. Una de esas habitaciones, usted tiene que vivir en ella y puede rentar las otras. Pero una casa propia, sola, que vive una sola familia, no puede usar el dinero de los $10,000 para para el down payment.
Ok, entonces si yo tengo una casa propia ya, pero ya han pasado 3 años, ¿puedo comprarme una multifamiliar, como usted dice, de 2 a 3 apartamentos, mudarme ahí y rentar todo?
Y rentar las otras habitaciones, sí.
Ok.
¿Ok?
Entonces, ok, muchas gracias. Thank
De
you.
nada.
Thank you, I
Does
understand.
anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Jenny.
Oh, you're welcome.
Does anybody else have any questions? If not, we're gonna move
I have
on.
one more.
Yes.
If you actually try to acquire the unit to be a landlord and rent it, are there any caps on how much you can rent the properties for?
No, not from our perspective, no, but some areas where you actually rent as a landlord, there are some restrictions on how much you can charge. But no, not from our perspective, no. It's your home that you purchased as a multiple family unit, and whatever you can get on the open market, it's up to you. There's no restrictions from our perspective.
Jesse, just to back that up too, can you use rental income? Can you factor that in as income with the DTI?
I don't know. They're going to factor in, my understanding from underwriting, no. You're not going to be able to, that's not going to be, how can I put this? The way I understand it is no. And it's not going to price you out. If I understand how she explained it to me, my single family director, that question. I'm gonna reserve answering that, and I will get that answer and shoot it back out. Who asked that? Was it Monica?
That was Monica, and I have another question too.
Okay.
It's not related to that. What are the minimum and maximum LTVs? Like the least they can put down and the most they can put down as a down payment.
I'll send you that information also.
Awesome.
I'll send that to you, okay?
Great, thanks.
Is anybody else? We're going to get to all the questions in the chat that are there, but for the sake of time, we're going to move on, and I'm going to let Jordan take over from here.
Thank you, Jesse. All right, and now we'll be moving on to our realtor portion of the evening. And tonight we have Virginia Betteridge, but she goes by Ginny. She's a realtor with Weichert. Take it away, Ginny.
Oh, thank you, Jordan. Good evening, everyone. It's very nice to be here and to keep learning, because this is a learning process for all of us. The home buying process is definitely a complex one, and that's why it is important to team up with a realtor that knows your needs and can help you through the process. In my daily activities to help my clients, there's a 16-step process. So the expertise that I bring to the table is my knowledge in the industry, and also the knowledge with the market and the trends of the local communities. I reside in Camden County, but I'm a licensed realtor in the state of New Jersey. And I am very familiar with the southern part of the state. So we also bring you guidance. During this process, many of the questions and terminology can be overwhelming, and especially if there's a language barrier. So I pride myself that I am bilingual in Spanish, and I will bring you the guidance that you need, more or less to hold your hand through the process to make sure that everything goes smoothly and that we get to the settlement table. Because ultimately, the goal of all the parties that you're going to hear from tonight, and the person that you're buying a home with, our goal is to get you to the settlement table with a seamless opportunity. We also understand that every client comes with different needs, and we're here to listen. Listening is a very, very big piece of the puzzle when you're looking to work with a realtor. They need to understand your needs. They need to understand the criteria that you're trying to meet so that you can check off all the boxes. And when I say that, it's, do you want a 3-bedroom home? Do you want 1.5 baths or two full baths? Those are questions that are very important. And sometimes they don't seem very important. They seem benign, but we're not mind readers. And part of the whole process of connecting with the appropriate realtor is to be able to have open and honest communications and walk through the needs of the family. We also have connectivity. So my background, 16 years in healthcare, and then I served 16 years in public office. I was an elected official, finished as the mayor of my community. So it was a seamless process for me to leave my public office and come into real estate, for the simple reason that a lot of the opportunities that I dealt with in my municipality, helping my constituents, revolved around the planning and zoning boards. So it brings a tremendous knowledge power and base for myself. So that sets me apart from other realtors that are my colleagues. They do a fantastic job, but you know, the experience that we learn and the experience that we live is immeasurable. And it's very, very important that, you know, when you meet someone, you're able to make that connection. I come with a dedicated team. I have mortgage advisors. I have a title company, insurance person that can get you the insurance that you need to provide at the settlement table. That is a requirement. Homeowners must be provided for at the settlement table. So the complex process shouldn't be scary. And that's why I like to get involved, and I like to help my clients to achieve their goal of home ownership. There's nothing better in this country than to be able to buy your first home. And while I recollect my personal, I guess, journey to purchasing my first condo, there's no more gratifying feeling. And if it wasn't for the realtor that I connected with, my feelings may have been differently. So working with a realtor should be a very easy opportunity for both parties. You know, look at me as your quarterback. I sit here and I kind of keep an eye on all the pulses of the transaction. And like I said, there's 16 and I'll go over them briefly. I can show you any home. I'm part of the Bright MLS, which gives me the opportunity to request appointments throughout my region to take you in to see a home. Many times I preview the homes on my own before I even take my client, so that we can have good conversation and I can tell you some of the special characteristics about the home. Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia, they're all out there, but they're not the professional Bright MLS that we as licensed realtors in the state of New Jersey have access to. They give you a little snippet of what's available, but a lot of times the information isn't updated on a daily basis or sometimes even a weekly basis. So people will go on to the search engines and look for a home and then be disappointed because the home may not be available, or maybe it's not the right size, square footage, etc. So allow me to be your guide. I'm here to hold your hand and to make sure that everything that you need to accomplish during the home buying process falls in my lane, so that I can assist you. This shouldn't be scary and it shouldn't be overwhelming. And if you connect with the right individuals, the process should be seamless. And there always is a team that's there supporting you. I will work diligently to find homes that meet your expectations. I get to know why you're moving, your desired location, your price range. I will work with the NJHMFA lender that you choose, so that we are pre-approved and we can hit the ground running. It's a very competitive market right now. It is called or known as a seller's market. So we have to be ready to hit the ground running. So all the information that Jesse proposed to you early on, it's really beneficial that you do it right away, so that when we connect and we find a home, I can aggressively put an offer in for you. Jesse also made a reference to something that's called a seller's concession. Sometimes, not typically in this market, but I'm not ruling it out 100%. There are seller's concession, and sometimes a seller will say, you know, I will pay $1,500 towards the closing cost. So that's another benefit for a buyer, because that means it's a little bit more money in your pocket, less out of your pocket, more in your pocket. So anytime that there is a positive, it's definitely good for the buyer. I'd like to just go through quickly the 16 processes or the 16 steps so that we can find a home. So I start with a buyer's consultation. Then in tandem, we would be working with your lender to get you pre-approved. Then I can connect with our title company. And we also start to view homes. And right now, on the weekends, it's when you can go out, or in the evenings, because now the evenings are lighted till about 7 or 7:30. And it's always, always best. My recommendation is that you look at a property in daylight. A property looks totally different at 4 o'clock in the afternoon versus at 8 or 8:30 in the evening. So there are flexibilities for appointments in the afternoon, the evening, and of course, over the weekend. Then it comes to the process of making an offer. The offer is calculated, and it puts your best foot forward, especially in a competitive market as it is now. And that is really, really important, because you may have heard stories that people are making offers and they're not being successful. Well, there's a I guess a way to address that and to make your offer the best offer that you can possibly put forward, which hopefully wins the bid. We reach agreements through a contract. It's in New Jersey, it's called an agreement of sale. It's very lengthy. The first page of the contract explains to the buyer that in the state of New Jersey, we recommend or suggest that an attorney step in. And many clients do use attorneys, many clients don't. And really, in my experience, it's been a geographical line whether clients use attorneys or not. But it is the very first page of the contract, and that is part of the conversation that I have with my buyers on the onset when we're doing the buyer's consultation. So the contract is negotiated, it is signed, and there's a 3-day attorney review. And then once we clear that, we start to work on the home appraisal. You're probably familiar with that, because the home needs to appraise at a certain amount so that the bank will lend you the money. So that is very, very important, especially in this market, because many of the homes, for instance, if a home is listed at 200,000, right now in the seller's market, it may sell for 210 or 215. So an appraisal is very important. Working with the right lender is also very important. Together, we will schedule the home inspection. That is really another huge milestone in the process of buying a home, because that's another opportunity for me to negotiate on your behalf, especially if the home inspection reveals some deficiencies, and deficiencies that I feel very strongly that need to be addressed is anything with your mechanicals, your HVAC, your plumbing, your electrical. Obviously, the municipalities also come in and they do an inspection, which is called a certificate of occupancy. Unfortunately, it's changing by the month. Right now, in the southern part of the state, especially in Hampton County, the certificate of occupancy, the inspections are only being done outside. I don't know if in the next several months, as more people become vaccinated and perhaps our COVID numbers start to decrease and diminish, that the inspectors will start going inside. But it is definitely highly recommended that buyers obtain a home inspection and remain with that. There are many buyers that over the last 8 or 10 months have been waiving the home inspection process, and they're using it as an informational document only. In my experience, I would highly suggest that you don't waive your home inspection. That tells a lot about the house, and also whether the buyer will be able to move in seamlessly. We also offer home protection plans for the homes. Sometimes, and most of my experience, I try to negotiate that for my buyer on the seller side, which means that I will present to the seller an opportunity for them to purchase for my client as a buyer. a 1-year home warranty. The home warranties are very, very useful. They cover you from 1 year from the date of the closing or / settlement. And it covers pretty much everything that could possibly go wrong, with the exception of roof. They do not replace a roof. And that is the one thing that I know is not covered under the home protection plan. There might be an exception to the rule out there, and I'm not aware of it. So the plans that I'm familiar with, the roof is not included. We will walk through the property several times at the inception of when we look at the home. Then we will go through during the home inspection, and we may even go a few days or a week before closing and make sure that everything that was to be done by the seller once the home inspection process was completed, that it's done. And then the day of closing. So if your closing was at noon, I would say meet me at 10 a.m. We go through the house one more time to make sure that the house was left broom swept, which means no furnishings, no boxes, nothing that you would have to go in and remove and throw out. And that all the receipts that were obtained by the seller because of the home inspection, that they're readily available for the buyer to make sure that everything was done and is in satisfactory condition. And then from there, we go to the closing table, and I sit, and we as a realtor, we are at all closings. And pretty much those are the 16 steps in purchasing a home here in New Jersey. And if you have any questions, I'm sure that between Jesse and Jordan, you would be able to reach out to me. And it would be my pleasure to work with you and help you through this process. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Are there any questions for Jenny?
You can share your information.
Yes.
This is
Yeah, I can make her information.
Because sometimes the first thing is that someone don't speak our language, use the different term and we don't understanding.
Right.
And then, but my question, I will send in Spanish, but si ya cuando están en el closing, te mandan a arreglar o pintar o arreglar la residencia, ¿puedes cancelar el contrato o no? Una semana antes.
No, ese tiempo es cuando, si es la inspección de la casa, pero tienen que ser reparaciones que son grandes en dinero, en costo de dinero.
Sí, es que tengo una señora que le pasó que ella está a punto de cerrar la casa, pero fue la inspección, el inspector pasó todo, pero ella fue a una revisión, como usted dice, que dio una otra revisión y vio que la fundación está mala y ya ella quiere cancelar el contrato.
Sí, entonces tiene que...
un año, entonces tiene miedo.
Exactamente, si ve que la fundación tiene...
Yeah, you're right, you didn't send the report.
Un problema, entonces ahí cuando tenemos que traer un abogado. Porque cuando ya se llega a cierta parte del contrato, es difícil salir del contrato, pero si es algo que un abogado puede ayudar, entonces el abogado empieza con el proceso y ayuda uno a arreglar lo que pasó o tratar de parar el contrato.
Sí, porque ella estaba bien asustada. Lo que pasa es que yo trabajo por una agencia sin fines de lucro, entonces vino a mí, yo digo, yo no sé qué hacer, entonces
sí. Mire,
la mandé a otro realtor, pero nadie la puede ayudar, no la han podido,
sí.
Y el cierre es de semana.
Jesse o Jordan le da mi teléfono y mi email y usted puede llamarme. Ok, para seguir la conversación.
Ok, gracias.
De nada.
Jenny, can you just give a quick summary of what she asked so for everybody else?
Oh, she was just asking about a friend who was going to a closing and was going through, it sounds to me like the final walkthrough, and all of a sudden a major foundation problem appeared. So typically those types of scenarios are found during a home inspection, but I didn't clarify if her friend had hired a home inspector or not.
Gotcha. Great. Any other questions? If not, we're going to move on to Satal Shah. He is our attorney for the evening. And Satal, take it away.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the seminar. Thank you, Jordan and Jesse, for having me. The best thing to remember whenever you sign contract in New Jersey is to know that you have a 3 business day review of the contract with your attorney. So if you change your mind, you decide you want to buy a different house, you forgot to tell your agent something important, you want to add or subtract something, that's your right. It's 3 business days. Saturdays, Sundays, and federal holidays do not count. So if you sign a contract on a Friday night, you don't have to panic because Saturday and Sunday do not count. The attorney review period, I like to call it the agree to disagree period. That means when you review with the contract with your attorney, you should feel comfortable. He or she will answer your questions and explain to you the process in the contract. The seller's attorney will do the same for the seller. It will go back and forth for a few days, maybe 2 to 3 days, until both sides agree to disagree. If both sides cannot agree, one side or the other will terminate the contract. If both sides agree, you will be then signing off on the changes. The sellers will be signing off on the changes that you propose. And when both parties sign off in writing that they agree with each other's changes, attorney review is finished. If any advice I can give you today in this market where houses seem to fly off the shelf literally every minute of the day, and you like a home, you've invested mental energy every weekend seeing a home, and you finally found something that you like, he or she that finishes attorney review, that means agrees, signs off on the changes, wins the game. Until that happens, the seller can entertain other offers, and you're just inviting someone else to make an offer a little bit higher than yours to take the home away from you. So if you really like something, get back to your agent, get back to your lender, and most importantly, get back to your attorney to finish the process. Now, in the contract, there are basic terms. I'm not going to discuss each one. It's not the point of the seminar. Highlighted terms. Usually you'll put $1,000 deposit when you make an offer. It's a good faith deposit when you sign the contract. People often ask me, how much money is required? How much do I have to put down? There's no answer. There's no textbook answer. There's no correct answer on Google or online. Sellers want you to put more down. Buyers want you to put less down. So typically it could be an additional deposit of 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20%. It really depends on the contract, the home you're buying, and the market demand, right? Now, once you put that deposit down, people ask me, will they cash the check? They are not just holding in the physical copy of the check. They're going to deposit the check and help put it in an escrow account. That means the money is protected until you close. When you close, that money gets released to the seller. So you have to make sure you have money in the bank because people are under the assumption that people will not be cashing checks, just collecting physical checks. Those checks will be deposited. The next thing in a contract is typically the inspection phase. You pretty much get about 2 weeks from attorney review. Everything that I mentioned is once attorney review is done. Why? That's when it's a binding contract and you have secured the offer and you are moving forward. You typically will have 2 weeks to do it, conduct the inspection, provide your attorney with a copy of the report, emailing them a list of repairs you'd like for them to consider, for the seller to consider certain repairs. And there'll be a combination of outcomes. Either the seller will perform all the repairs, they will say no to you, they may do a combination of repairs, they may offer you a credit, they may offer you some repairs or some credit. I'll get to inspections in about a minute. Then certain things are noteworthy is to make sure what appliances are included in the contract. Stove is the only appliance by law that is required, period, nothing else. So if you're getting a dishwasher, washer, dryer, refrigerator, please note it. Now, if you happen to notice a new appliance, something on the newer end, let's say a refrigerator is a year old or it's a name brand, GE, brand new. Take 4 minutes or a few minutes to write that down in the contract. When somebody offers you a refrigerator, it doesn't mean the one that you've actually seen or the brand new one that you're excited about to receive. I've seen situations quite often that 1972 Grandma Special comes right in at the closing and they will replace the old refrigerator and take the new one. You were just promised a refrigerator, not the most brand new one that you've seen. Now, in addition to the inspections, deposits, and the next phase would be working on obtaining a mortgage commitment. A mortgage commitment is a piece of paper from the lender. Basically, it says, I believe in you. I reviewed your finances, and I'm going to support you and provide you with a loan on the day of the closing. Typically, the contract will provide about 4 weeks to obtain this mortgage commitment, which you will provide to your attorney. Your attorney will also review title work. They want to make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. That is very important. That is not the buyer's responsibility. It's your attorney's responsibility. You just want to make sure that ultimately whoever you hire is a real estate attorney. That's important. In a closing, details matter. If a person is not familiar with practicing real estate and they're doing you a favor and doing the closing, there's a lot of complexities that may be overlooked. For example, in title work, we have to pay off the seller's mortgage. If we don't, that's a lien on the property you're buying. That's an easy, straightforward example. Let's say the seller owes alimony or child support. That is also lienable on the actual unit. You'll say, well, that has nothing to do with me. I'm the buyer. That's why these issues have to be clear. Water bills, back taxes, etc. Now, your attorney is like a ringleader at a circus. It's a team effort to get to closing. You have to be able to work with all parties, the inspector, mortgage finance association, realtor, title company, insurance company. Your attorney is like your personal bodyguard. Their job is to vet everyone and to look out for you and deal with everybody with a common goal to get to closing and the coordination that it takes. As we get closer to closing, let's make pretend the closing is 2 o'clock tomorrow. You would then get a call from your attorney today. He or she will inform you how much money you have to bring to closing, and then you will conduct a walkthrough of the property the day before. You want to make sure there's no last minute damage, no last minute issues with that home, no vandalism, because those are the things you want to address at the closing table. If you never did the walkthrough or visit the property right before closing and then go to the closing, you're very happy. You go then to your home and the roof is blown off. You can't expect your attorney to do anything. You own the home. You're dealing with the problem. Take 15, 20 minutes to visit the property. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's not a second chance to do a home inspection since maybe you weren't thorough the first time around and you missed a lot of things. That's not what this is for. This is to ensure the property is in the same condition when you signed the contract and you did home inspection. For example, it's going to be 85 degrees tomorrow. I think the hottest day of the week. If the AC doesn't work right before the closing, you can then try to solve the problem by negotiating a credit, getting somebody out there to get an estimate for the repair. Let's say it can't be solved. Let's say the entire unit is shot. You don't close. You adjourn the closing, figure it out, and then reinstate the closing. Now I'll backtrack. I wanted to save 2 more points to speak about. One was the home inspection I alluded to earlier. Either there'll be repairs for credits, they will undertake the repair. Now, people often ask me in home inspections, when I do it, what can I ask the seller to do? What repairs can I ask? That question is asked every minute of every day, literally. You can ask for anything you want. That doesn't mean the seller will address it. The contract states that the seller is obligated to perform major repairs. What is major? Major is not defined by me nor you. It's what the contract says. Heating, air conditioning, plumbing, mold, termites, environmental condition. The basement should be structurally sound, free of leaks, mold. Same way with the roof, structurally sound, free of mold, leaks. Mechanical system, sewer, septic, all of that should be in working condition. Windows should be operating. That is considered major. If the seller doesn't perform the major repairs, you have a right to cancel the contract. Now, I often get asked, what if I do the home inspections and I don't like it? I change my mind. I want to move to a different county. I didn't like the house. Those are not legal reasons to cancel the contract based on home inspection. When you offer the seller to do the major repairs or perform the major repairs, you have to give them the opportunity. If they say no to the major repairs, that's your legal excuse to get out of the contract. If you just cancel the contract without giving the seller the opportunity to fix the problem, they will mention to you their legal rights that they have the right to fix it before you cancel. Otherwise, your deposit monies that you've given may be in jeopardy, or you will have a hard time recovering them. Now, in home inspections, if they give you a credit, how do you know you're getting the right amount of money? How do you know you're being treated fairly? Get an estimate. If the plumbing situation, the seller says, I'll offer you $75, but your estimate from a licensed plumber says $700, you know you're being shortchanged. It'll help you negotiate. So getting estimates from licensed contractors is helpful for your negotiation. Now, the last point I will mention is try to hang with me on this last point. I saved it for the end. Now, whenever you're buying property in New Jersey, the seller has to perform an inspection for the buyer. That means not a home inspection, a township inspection. Every town has one or two types of inspections. Either a carbon monoxide or smoke detector certification, where the fire department comes in, makes sure the smoke detectors work. If they do, they issue a certificate and sign off. That's one inspection. Another one is by the building department. They inspect the property. If it passes, it's called a certificate of occupancy. They sign off. Every town has one or both. You can call any town and they'll tell you, yes, we have both fire and CO, just CO or just a smoke detector, one or the other. Now, everyone try to hang with me on this last point. I think it's the valuable advice, and I believe you'll thank me in the future. That's why I saved it for the end. Let's say, for example, you bought a property today in New Jersey and you visited a home. I'll make up the town. We could say it's in, I don't know, New Brunswick, New Jersey, or wherever you are. Let's say you saw a finished basement and you liked the finished basement. You made an offer on the home and you're very excited. Half the population may wonder whether that basement is legal or not. The other half the population may not even give it a thought. You're so excited about the basement, you signed the contract and move on. Now, let's say the town you made an offer on in the finished basement, let's say that town's only requirement is a smoke detector and fire detector carbon monoxide certificate. You ask the seller, is the basement legal? And they offer you the only certificate the township has. I don't blame anybody in the audience. It's not your knowledge or your knowledge base that you accept the certificate. It's up to your attorney to be knowledgeable and to stop that and say, no, I need further documentation like permits. Let's assume your attorney lets it go for whatever reason, accepts a smoke detector certificate, and it ends the story. You'll be very happy, you close, you go to your housewarming, barbecue, and you're done. 3 years later, you sell the home, and the new buyer says, is that basement legal? You provide them with the smoke detector certificate that you received at closing, and you provide it to them. However, now the buyer is more inquisitive than you were and goes on Google, and it's much smarter than you, and figures out that that smoke detector certificate is not enough. You need a permit. They call the town and they said there's no permit for the basement. That means in simple terms that the basement was created without getting the proper permission from the township. Now it would be your responsibility to make it, legitimize it, and make it legal. That can be expensive because you never know what you have to hire, what professionals. It could be architects, electrical, plumbing, legal fees. It's very expensive at that point. You will be upset because now you're spending money on a basement that you didn't finish or legitimize, but now you're forced to for the new buyer. You may argue you closed, this wasn't your responsibility, you didn't do the basement. That defense will work at third grade. That will not work now. You'll have to take care of this for the buyer. How do you solve this problem? It's against generally my financial interest to tell the clients this or the audience, because we make a very good living assisting clients solving these problems. There's two ways to solve this problem. One is anytime you buy a house, you can contact code enforcement in any township. You can ask for a form called Open Records Public Act. That's Open Records Public Act. It's a free form. Sign it, complete it, and in 10 days, the township has to share with you whatever information that they have on your property. It may be no information. Why is this important? It's free. They give you info. If you're buying a house and somebody says there's a brand new roof, brand new water heater, brand new basement, you need permits for it. If the township has no records of any of these improvements, then you know something wasn't done right, and you want to make sure the seller addresses it on their watch. Because if you close, you will be ultimately responsible to fix these issues at your expense some point after the closing. Second thing I would do is I'd call code enforcement and confirm verbally, because mistakes happen with human error all the time, and ask them, are there any permits that are open? Just listen to what they say. If they say anything is open, you want them to close it out and have the seller do it prior to closing, so it doesn't become your responsibility. Again, that's the Open Records Public Act form at Code Enforcement. And I heard you could do it most of the places online due to COVID. Complete the application, there's no fee, and you do not have to be the owner to complete this form. Anyone can fill it out at any property, anytime. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. My name is Satal J. Shah. I'm an attorney in Edison, New Jersey. I worked at a big firm in a private practice now for 21 years. I know there's a brochure that Jordan and Jesse have sent out. Please feel free to read it on our website as well. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. You can email us or call us. And I just want to let the audience know that two things. One is we service and perform closings in every single county in New Jersey. So wherever you are, Burlington, Camden, North, South, Atlantic City, doesn't matter. We travel to you to do the closings. So if you're interested in learning about us and how we can help you, don't let the physical barrier of where we are limit your potential. Thank you for listening. I wish lots of people out there good luck and happiness and success in this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Satal. Are there any questions for Satal?
I have a question. About how much would it cost in the for that actual process to take place for the attorney review?
For the entire process, you could probably expect, you're asking me a general range, you probably can expect anywhere from $1,000 to probably $1,750, $1,850 in that range.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And for speaking for us in particular, because of the New Jersey mortgage finance and the relationship, our attorney fees are $1,000. It's reduced because of our working with the seminar.
All right, any other questions for Satal? Okay, I'd like to thank Jesse, Ginny, and Satal for coming on tonight and giving you guys a lot of information. If you have anyone that missed tonight's seminar, we will be putting it up on YouTube. Also, we will have seminars pretty much every Tuesday and Thursday up until I think June 16th. Yeah, so if you have anybody that you know would like to sit in on one of these webinars, you can just register with us. And if there are no other questions, thank you all for coming, and please have a good night.
Thank you.
I have another question. I'm sorry. Is possible that you offer this in Spanish for our community?
We are working on having it in Spanish in the near future.
This is a valuable information, and we are glad to invite. I glad to see in the Facebook page. So thank you so much for all the information.
Yeah, no problem. We just had a webinar last month with the Spanish Chamber of Commerce. Is that right, Jordan, with the Spanish Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
We had about, I think we had over 100 and some odd folks on the call. And then we had translators on the call also. It is vital, and we're working to get this information out to everyone that we can.
Thank you. Also, I will share with my families when I'm working. So I hope someone take advantage of this service because it's a great opportunity that you offer to us. And also you say no needed the social security number. That is a big opportunity. And Ms. Gina, Mr. Sita, I think that we can contact you too because that advice is good for all Spanish people because other people take advantage of us. Because we don't understand very well. We thinking that we understand, but we need some pushing understand every word because it's that is life decision. It's
And
not,
I don't know if you saw my brochure, Attorney Shah's Guide to Buying Your First Home. It's Spanish too. I don't know if you got a chance to read my Spanish brochure.
no, I take copy for that. I save on my computer. But I
Yeah,
think that Mr.
if you-
Jordan sent to us.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's in Spanish, and we have a lot of Spanish clients. I understand Spanish pretty well. But we have staff that will translate too, so it's not an issue. But when you go back to look at the materials, the entire process, I have it in English and Spanish. If you look at the materials.
I appreciate. Thank you, Mr. Jesse. I love it, all the information. Thank you so much.
Also, one other thing, we have all our documents translated in Spanish also. So
Okay.
we're on top of it. We're on top of
Okay.
it.
So anyway, Mr. Jordan, you send me both in Spanish and English. I will appreciate because I can support you to share the information.
Yeah, no problem. Everything will be sent to you tomorrow morning in an email.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
I speak a lot. I don't speak very well, but I try.
No, it was fine. Glad we were able to answer your questions.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, if there's no more questions, I think we can call it an evening. Thank you everybody for coming, and please have a good night.
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
guys.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
Yeah, thanks
See
for
you
coming
Thursday.
on.
You got it. See you Thursday.